praise for his team after the game. Take a listen.
Played up and down, we trying to figure it out with all the injuries and all the stuff, but we just hang together. It's just a great group. They really are. They talk, they meet, they do everything that you want a team, a good team, a team that has aspirations to do.
Well, Skip, in your opinion, who had the better game, Kawhi or Luka?
By the way, did you see Doc? He's drenched with sweat. It was a wild finish, and he was drained from it, but like giddy drained. Yeah. He was ecstatic about what he saw from the character of his basketball team.
He seems excited.
And that team did not have Paul George last night, and it did not have Patrick Beverley for the whole second half because he had a little groin issue, and they said, we always err on the side of caution.
Is it his 17th year? Why Pat Beverly getting a groin injury?
Well, come on.
So groins happen.
Oh, is that what you're talking
so
about?
you don't necessarily have to be just, okay, I'm just making, that's okay. Go ahead, Skip. Go ahead.
So, obviously, even though the numbers look about the same, in fact, if I just go off the overall final stat sheet, I could say Luka had the better game because they both had 36 points, but then I look at Luka's line, and he had 10 rebounds and 9 assists, and Kawhi only had 2 assists, had 11 rebounds. But if we look harder at what happened, we see that all of the plays were made by Kawhi Leonard. So he had the better game because his team obviously ended up winning the game. And if we could just see what looked like was the dagger three. In fact, the Clippers announcer referred to it as a dagger, which was almost the kiss of death because it really wasn't a dagger. But Kawhi made this three. This is with about 1:16 minutes left, and that was cold-blooded. And guess what? That was the only three he made all night. He was 1 for 9, so I will give you that. He did not have a good shooting night, but then this is what happened at the very end of the game when it was time to go to the free throw line and slam the door shut. He made 2 more free throws, boom, boom, and that was 11 out of 12 for the game, which brings me to Luka. Again, I don't hate Luka Doncic. He's still 20 years of age. But I cannot stand it when anybody invokes the name of Larry Bird,
hey, Larry Joe.
Including the man across from me. Because there were times last night when Luka looked more like Harry Bird. Harry Bird. You remember Harry Bird? He played D3s, went over, and I think he played pro ball in Greece and wound up in China. Remember that guy, Harry Bird? Well, this guy is more like Harry Bird too much of the time because I want to remind everybody, Luka is now shooting 32.7% from 3, and this is going to play when I show you what happened in the game. That ranks 131st of 149 NBA three-point qualified shooters, and he also is shooting 78% from the free throw line, which is not LeBron bad, but it's still not. Larry Joe Bird was a 90% free throw shooter, and Luka ranks 72nd of 114 qualified free throw shooters. Can we see what happened in the first half on one of Luka's free throws, please? Is this Bird-esque to you, please? Luka, first half, it's up and it's short. Ooh. Nothing but net, as in it just barely ticked the bottom of the net. Luka! How can you do that? What are you doing?
It happens.
Hey, Larry Bird never did that one time in his whole career. 90%. Luka, no. No. Then can we see what happened with 5 minutes left in the game, and the game is tied, and Kawhi had just made a big basket for the Clippers, and it's nip-tuck back and forth, and Luka comes down to shoot a 3, and it's up, and it hits nothing but nothing. It's an air ball, wide right by about 3 feet. And I'm saying, what are you doing? Larry Joe Bird never did that, but Harry Bird, he does that on occasion. You can't trust Harry all the time.
Yeah, you can.
So then Luka did hit a big 3 late in the game to cancel that Kawhi 3. He came right back down and hit one. But then what happened with 16 seconds left? Luka, they get the ball on it's a wild, frantic play, and the ball gets swung around to Luka at the top. Here we go. The ball's kicked around. Oh, look, wait a second. Luka's got a wide open 3 from the top of the key. This is a Larry Joe Bird special where you just go up and shoot that. And guess what? He went LeBron. He said the better shot, the right basketball play is to kick it to Tim Hardaway Jr.
Who was that?
No, it's not. If you are that guy, you take that shot to win that game.
Question. Who's a better three-point shooter? Tim Hardaway Jr. or Luka Doncic?
Statistically, I give you Tim Hardaway Jr. But who is the next Larry Bird? It's this guy. That's all I hear. And again, it's a runaway train. If he's that guy in a close game, and I watch all the Luka games, he is not great late in games. And he's getting a little gun shy because he had missed another 3 just before that. So my point is, you have to make that. And then what happens? Doc has him intentionally fouled by Landry Shamet when it's a 3-point game with 7 seconds left. And here he goes he gets fouled by Shamet. This is when they don't have a foul to give. They're just going to make him shoot the free throws because it's a 3-point game. So he needs to make these 2 free throws to give them a chance. And the first one is up, and it barely hits the front of the rim. That's LeBron-esque. So if you want to say he's the next LeBron, I'll give you that. You got me. But in the end, this was a big game against a Clippers team down Paul George, down Patrick Beverley, and Kawhi Leonard took the game over. Both of them scored 11 points in the fourth quarter, but Kawhi's were more meaningful than Harry Bird's.
Yeah, I mean, if you want me to come up here and argue against Kawhi, I can't. Last night, I mean, he was 12 of 29. He wasn't efficient. 1 of 9 from the 3-point line. But, Skip, we've seen this from Kawhi. You remember last year in Game 7, he was 16 of 39.
Yep.
But the shot that needed to be made, the shot that needed to be taken, he took it and he made it. And that's what the really good ones can do. They all have amnesia. Man, I've been missing all my shots tonight, and I'm going to make this one. That's what they can do. Skip, look, I don't believe there's been a 20-year-old that's had more on their plate than Luka Doncic. Maybe Magic, maybe LeBron. But you got to realize, Skip, he's still 20.
Okay, I'm feeling sorry over here for him because he does not deserve the expectations being heaped on his shoulders. He's not that guy, not yet.
You do know Larry was at Indiana State at 20.
Okay, fair enough.
He wasn't playing NBA basketball, Jenny.
But what happened the minute he stepped on an NBA floor? You knew.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah, you know.
I do not know.
Oh, you know.
I'm sorry.
Skip, look. I don't know why you keep on trying to do this. I mean, Luka is asked to do everything. He's 29, 10, and 9 at the age of 20.
Yeah.
And the offense, everything, there's nothing going on in which he doesn't have his hand in. Now, Porzingis, it was his first game back. He looked rusty.
He did. He
now,
was 4-17. I'll give you that.
Skip, he was out longer than AD, and we saw how rusty AD looked after being out only 2. Luka's been out like 3 weeks. Not Luka, excuse me. Porzingis has been out like 3 weeks.
Okay.
And then he comes and goes. I mean, I'm more uncertain of him than I am Luka. I know what Luka goes. Luka's a superstar, Skip. I hate to disagree with you. But I'm going to give Kawhi his props. He was unbelievable when he needed to be. And that's what the good one can do. You disregard them shooting 30% or 35, 40% from the field. When they need to take a shot, when they need to make a shot, he, like so many of the other greats, can do that. And that's what he was able to do last night. Luka got his. It's kind of tough on him to try to have to guard Luka because if you're going to put him on Luka, you're going to zap some of his energy on the offensive end. They needed all 36 last night. He had one of those nights, Skip, where he goes
from Kawhi.
From Kawhi, yeah.
They did. Well,
they needed everything. So Shamet stepped up big. Shamet was huge for them last night.
He's a very good unsung player for them.
Yes.
So the bigger takeaway from last night, obviously, to me, it was more about what Luka couldn't do at home in Dallas. But the bigger takeaway was Doc, he is buying into his team.
For sure.
And again, this whole season, we'll see if Zion can change this. It seems like it's sort of degenerated into the 2 LA teams.
It is.
Who's better? And they're about to meet for a third time next Tuesday night. We will be at South Beach at the Super Bowl, but we will talk about it on Wednesday's show.
Yeah.
You better believe it. We might just come right out of the box talking about it.
LeBron put his triple dub on him.
Okay. Well, I don't know what's wrong with Paul George because he's got a hamstring. Is it worse than you think?
Whoa. What year is this for Paul George? It better be year 18 or year 19 because he missed. Skip, what's my favorite saying? If you limp into the season, how you limping out? How you coming up out of it? Limping.
Okay.
Now, all I know is my guy. My guy had it growing. First time he's had an injury like that, Jenny, in 16 seasons.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, he's over. He old. I ain't never seen a guy this old. Who pulls their groin? Who does this? I'm just trying to figure out why Paul George got this injury. Patrick Beverley got a groin injury. Is Patrick Beverley old as LeBron?
What have I called LeBron many times?
No.
The most durable superstar I have ever watched.
Have.
And so it was shocking that he had a groin pull that kept him out for 2 months. Really? Well, that's kind of a year 16 kind of an injury to me.
No. What happened was he pulled his groin. He got it good. He didn't tell you he heard a pop, but you talking about he ain't hear no pop. Ain't nobody else here. That's what you said.
The only pop I know coaches the Spurs.
The man said he heard a pop. So that means he tore something.
Well, I hope that Paul George didn't hear a pop, because I would rather tear my groin than tear my hamstring, because the hamstring's the biggest muscle in the body. And if it goes, I'm talking about if it rips, you are done.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, you ain't jumping, you ain't doing all that moving.
So you better hope, I'm knocking on wood for Paul George, but you better hope that he's got a serious injury, because if he doesn't, your team is in trouble, because I do love the mental toughness of these Clippers, especially with Patrick Beverly on the floor. They're just a better defensive team than the Lakers are. And we had Byron Scott, former great Laker. He bleeds a little bit of purple and gold, but he's saying that he favors the Lakers just because the Clippers don't have